Welcome, everyone, to a Delco Nerd Network Rewind review, where we sit down and talk about some of our favorite film franchises of the past. On this season, we're talking about some old video game movies of yore, if you will. Today, we're talking Assassin's Creed. Joining me, as always, Mr. Anthony the Gooch, Ragucci Gooch. What do you got for me?
Trio. Where other men blindly follow the truth. Remember.
Nothing is true.
Where other men are limited by morality or law. Remember.
Everything is permitted.
There we go, baby.
I wish I could do it in like Italian or whatever. They said it in a few different languages in this movie, actually, which is fun. But
did they?
I think so.
They're just speaking Spanish.
And they're speaking, I think his dad's speaking like Arabic at one point too, because there was a quote that I was seeing.
Cal's dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is interesting. He says it like multiple times, I think. Like nothing is true, everything is permitted. But Gooch, we're here, man. This is the last of the Rewind reviews for the video game series. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. This was Gooch's idea, and I think that it was a good one, actually. I think we had a fantastic 5 films to go through, but let's go through the details here, and then we'll get into the review portion. Okay. Initially released on December 21st, 2016. Good date. I did not realize that they did the December 21st thing. That has meaning in the Assassin's Creed.
I remember seeing in this, and like I remember that I don't know if you could like tell me, like, do you remember when we saw
the date? No,
like a specific movie. Like I'm trying to remember. Like I remember when we all saw Age of Ultron, and then like Black Widow. But like I remember going to the theater to watch Assassin's Creed. Like with who I was with. But anyway, sorry.
No, I love it. With a production budget of $125 million, an opening weekend of $10.2 million. And a worldwide box office of $240 million, which is actually, I was kind of surprised by that number.
Okay.
That means it most likely just kind of broke even.
Right.
But how much of that do you think came from the international box office?
65%.
Give me like a number out of the $240 million. I can't do percentages, Gooch.
240 million was the
total. Yeah,
I would say 170.
You're not far off. 186 million international.
Let's go. Not bad.
I mean, yeah, we're having another bit of a Warcraft situation with this one. Most of it coming through the international box office. Directed by Justin Kurzel, written by Michael Leslie, Adam Cooper, and Bill Coolidge. Callum Lynch explores the memories of his ancestors, Aguilar de Nerja, as he gains the skills of a master assassin before taking on the secret Templar Society.
Yeah, I mean, I think the end is a bit. Does he? Yeah, I guess he does have that weird twist at the end, and that is what happens. But I think there's a bit more nuance to that last part. But everything else is good. What else has this director done?
So he did Macbeth. Yeah, he did some more serious stuff before this.
We were talking about him while we were playing Marvel Rivals yesterday. And
I meant to bring up.
I don't even know who directed
IMDb.
this movie until you just said it.
Oh, I don't have IMDb on.
What's his name?
Justin Kurzel. Justin Kurzel filmography. So he did Macbeth with Fassbender the year before. He actually kind of that was in my fun facts, but we'll go ahead a little bit. He lobbied for him as a director. Fassbender did.
Yeah. So I also know this might be in your fun facts. It may not be. There's not a lot of behind the scenes from this movie. What I thought was interesting because Warcraft seemed to have a bunch, and it's a video game movie. You feel like it would have it. There were some interviews, and Fassbender was talking about the fact that I guess Ubisoft approached him before anything else, and they had lunch, and it was like, here's Assassin's Creed, and we want to make a movie. And they didn't have a script, they didn't have anything. They just talked to Fassbender, and that's how the project started.
Yeah, and I mean, he's one of the main producers on it. I don't think he's an executive producer, but he had a pretty heavy hand in this whole production, which I'll get into a little bit more in the fun facts. But Gooch, let's get into the review. I'm going to start us off here.
Okay.
Because I owe you a bit of an apology from the other night.
I was right!
No, hold on. Let's relax. Let's rein it in. This movie, you put your 4.5 star review?
Yeah, on
Letterboxd, and I gave it a laughing emoji. And I just thought, because I remembered seeing this twice, and just remembered being like extremely bored throughout most of it.
I will admit too, I remember coming out of that theater and being like, that was okay.
Yeah, like and just not being really blown away in any real sense, but like, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more this time. I don't know if it's because I was at my house, and I was trying to stay off my phone, but I was on my phone here and there, and I'm trying to really pay attention.
I was just thinking, I'm like, maybe this movie wasn't a good theater movie.
Yeah, and it's like that's not a good thing either. But still,
yeah. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah,
it was an interesting revisit. They absolutely commit to the Assassin's Creed of it all, which I can appreciate, especially for the time. They didn't just do what Doom did and take some weird narrative strands and completely rework it. Like, it's Assassin's Creed, and you talked about this in Discord, how it's like it's not Assassin's Creed 1. It's not a retelling of Assassin's Creed 1, but it kind of is in the way of like it's this guy being abducted by Abstergo through weird means and being forced into the Animus to retrieve the Apple of Eden, to find where the Apple of Eden is. And that all kind of felt really redundant to me personally, like that whole story arc. I was like, why are we doing it again?
I guess since we're so far removed from the original Assassin's Creed and Desmond as a character, like it just... And maybe at the time, like, I didn't feel like that. Like, I think
we're so close to it.
Post-Syndicate?
It's 2016, yeah.
Yeah, so we're not even in the new age of Assassin's Creed. We're at the peak of Assassin's Creed being tired.
Right, yeah.
You know, I think, like we're all a bit disheartened. Unity wasn't received very well and had a lot of problems.
And Syndicate was just kind of, like, people... I love Syndicate, but it wasn't received super well.
So this movie is probably coming out at the worst and the best time because it's like... It's still like what I consider Assassin's Creed to be, but it's also when I think everyone started becoming disinterested with the series.
It's at this weird nexus point for the series. Like, I think if this movie came out and did like extremely well, we wouldn't have seen the kind of dive into, I don't know, maybe the more RPG side that we see Assassin's Creed go into today. But it is interesting, man. I mean, I'll give him credit for the commitment. The costumes look great. I think Fassbender's doing great in it. I think his characterization's like kind of weird because, you know, he's on death row.
Cal.
Yeah, sorry, Cal.
Like, which version of him?
Yeah, that's a good point. I should elaborate. So Cal Lynch is his present day counterpart, and then we have Aguilar, like we said. And Cal's like in prison for murder, and he's getting put to death. And you open on him like doing all these weird drawings, and I guess it's supposed to inform us that he's like kind of broken psychologically in a way.
In my Letterboxd review, I referred to him as a societal outcast.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. Yeah,
because that's definitely like, you know, it's funny because they do kind of gloss over like why he's in prison, and I guess it's not important. Per se, but like just to know that like he comes from an assassin family. And there was a tragedy in his family. He clearly has some sort of assassin upbringing.
Yeah.
Just like Desmond. And if you've dug into the lore of Assassin's Creed, you know, Desmond, like, kind of rejects the assassins, but lives among it. His dad is the mentor.
Right.
Like, he's kind
of... And then he
like,
runs away, right? That's when he becomes...
Yeah, that's when he gets captured by Abstergo.
Right, because he's doing the bartending.
Right, he tries to reject the life and, like, just try to live on his own, and that doesn't end up working out. And, yeah, like... Desmond really goes through this, like, you know, like straddling the line between of like normal life and like following like his ancestry essentially.
No, exactly. You know? Like what he was born into. And, you know, I think there is an interesting theme that they explore of this, like your blood's not yours and like your destiny is kind of encoded in this almost to a degree. And I don't know, them talking about murder being like genetic and Marion Cotillard's character trying to like cure people of violence.
New character, Alan Rickon, I thought it was Rickon. He is not a new character. We've seen him before. He's in Assassin's Creed 1 at the very end.
Is he the guy that's like good? Yeah, that's funny. So interesting.
Alan Rickon is not original, but they do kind of, I don't want to say retcon his character, but like killing him at the end is such a like, whoa. Because he's the leader of Abstergo. We know that from AC1. We know he's the person sending Warren Vidic after Desmond Miles to find the Apple of Eden, to send it into space in the satellite, all that jazz.
Yeah.
But we never see him throughout the series. So to put him in this movie and then to kill him off in a kind of weird, quick way, it just kind of feels like
I thought that scene could have been cooler for sure. Some of the action in this, there's the one scene in particular when they're about to be executed, I think is phenomenal.
In the Animus,
I think it's really great.
On the pillory,
and you know, I said something in the group chat about like I don't know if I like this big arm Animus. And you brought up a good point about synchronization, and I'm like, yeah, how do you illustrate that with someone sitting in a chair? Because like as a player, the idea is you're re-experiencing these memories in the Animus, and if you do something wrong, you desync because that's not what your person did.
And in the first game, they kind of, I forget how they explain this, but they do. It's like you losing health means you're
desyncing,
adhering to what Altair was.
Exactly.
So, killing a civilian, you lose health, you're desyncing.
Right.
You get hit, you lose health, you're desyncing. Like,
that's not how it happened. Right.
Right. Yeah. And I like that buy-in. Like, it's very immersive. And I don't know when the series eventually moves away from that. It's just like, it's a health bar.
Right.
But,
well,
like,
and
I'm kind of like putting that into my sense where, like, yeah, the leap of faith, like him doing that, like, think about it, like, at least with Altair when he first jumps in there, I think you're like at the end of the game.
What, when he does the first leap of faith?
When he first goes in the Animus in AC1.
Oh yeah, you're near the end, and then they're like, we can't.
Too much.
Yeah, it's like you're
you
not
can't...
synced enough with your ancestor. They don't ever really dive into that in the movie. Why he can't just skip to that memory?
Yeah, but
which is interesting.
But think about it, like the intense combat, the intensity of the moment.
For sure,
he like doesn't know what to do, so his body rejects.
No, exactly,
what's going on.
And I think that's I don't really love this big arm Animus, but I think that's almost the best way you can illustrate that beyond just putting him in the boring chair, which, by the way, you do see the Animus 2.0. I don't know if you noticed in this.
No.
It's so when you first see, he's first introduced to the Animus, and it shoots back at Cal. It's over his shoulder, like sitting in the back, like the red and white one.
Yeah, from AC2, yeah.
But it did grow on me throughout, and I like this idea of, like, it kind of moving back and forth between the realities. I do think that there was this weird inclination in this movie, and I don't know why, to put a weird haze over everything.
Yeah,
and I do not like it at all. And I think it covers up a lot of, like, these real sets and real locations that are there. And I'm like, I want to see this, and I don't know why that you're hazing it all. I don't know.
I think what the idea is, like, obviously, Sophia and other Abstergo personnel are, like, watching and recording, like, the information that's going on. So I think it's trying to get in the perspective of, like, what it's looked like to watch, and, like, how the room is, like, sort of like projection mapping the memories, and
that
obviously it's not going to, like, one-to-one.
For sure.
And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And instead it's like we can kind of see, like, these glimpses and moments, but, like, you're right, especially for when he completes, or, like, the first leap of faith, the one
right,
he fails. It kind of just, like, we don't really get
we can't
the
see the whole thing.
gravitas of the leap of faith. I mean, of course, the second one, when he does the landing, I was like, wow, that was fucking cool.
Oh, I have a fun fact about
that, too. And the whole
too.
thing, like, breaks apart.
Yeah.
It's like almost like he sinks so much that the machine couldn't handle it. And then he's an assassin. Like, the bleeding effect happens in full force. And one thing I think you have to understand, not saying that you don't, but the bleeding effect happens so much quicker in this movie than it does with, like, the bleeding effect is still very much happening in AC2 and Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Like, Desmond is still learning a lot.
They have to really condense the time frame for the movie, because obviously we just don't have the same time frame.
They never use the term bleeding effect either.
Which was interesting to me.
Yeah, because I feel like as fans, we know what that is and the purpose of it, but, like, they never go, oh, this is the bleeding effect. And I don't know if Warren Vidic coins that, or if Rebecca and Sean do, like, who says that to him, that, like, that's what this is.
I also did like the call. I was kind of confused at the end at first, like, how is he taught, like, obviously he's, like, looking at, I like how all his ancestors pop up around him, and he's, like, seems to be taught, like, viewing them, and they seem to be able to see him.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, what the hell's going on? Like,
this
is not what Animus
moment where...
Well, it's almost like in Revelations. Like, when he's like, Desmond, like, the apple allows him to realize, like, oh, I know Desmond, I don't know how I'm talking to you. I don't know how we've been gifted
that's
this.
at the end of AC2.
I thought that was Revelations, when he's in the vault and he's, like, talks
that's
to
when
him.
he's actually talking to him.
That's what I mean. I'm talking to.
He hears Desmond's name is
right.
at the end of AC2.
I guess what I'm saying more, though, is it reminds me more of the Revelations moment where he's like, he has the apple, so it almost gives him this realization where he's like, oh, I realize what my bloodline does. I realize how important we are, and I know what you're doing in the future. I do think Aguilar's, like, characterization was a bit light, and you just don't spend a lot of time with him.
Right, and you know what?
I don't know. I would have liked to see more of that. There's this whole idea of putting the creed before you.
As an Assassin's Creed purist, I think me and Fassbender are aligned. I think he understood that this series is about, genetic code and, like, going back into the past and experiencing, like, think about it. Think about what Assassin's Creed is now. It's not what this movie is.
Sure.
They focus a lot in the present day.
Yeah.
That's
Well, even more so,
crazy if you think about it.
even more so than the games too. And I think that's where the flaws kind of enamor for me, because like I want more time with Aguilar. I want more time to kind of realize who he is.
Yeah,
and
I would agree.
I think that like,
but I think if we had it the other way, I wouldn't have liked it.
No, exactly. Oh, I agree. I just wish it was more balanced. But I like this idea that they're struggling with, and both sides seem to be struggling with it throughout the movie. It's like, do you give your blood for the creed? Do you die for the creed?
Right.
And he says he's going to do it. Aguilar. He says he's like, all right,
you're
going
to the girl.
And there's this moment there where he's not going to, and she realizes it, and she kills herself to basically propel him forward and make him make that choice. And I think that idea is really interesting. And I will say that this movie, and I think he even explains it a bit more, the director that I have in the fun facts, where this definitely felt a bit more gray. It didn't feel like the assassins were the good guys and the Templars were the bad guys. Like the shit that the assassins seem so devoted to the point where it was cult-like, and like they're willing to kill themselves. And I thought that was like very interesting. And don't get me wrong, it felt like
antithetical to their own.
Exactly. Yeah, you're almost giving up your free will for the creed to save other people's free will.
I think there's some sort of that. I was gonna say ambiguation. Is that a word?
Ambiguousness.
Ambiguity.
Yeah, that's
within the games. Like, I think, Altair is sucking the Creed's cock, like, the whole time.
Yeah.
And even more so after the events of the game, because, remember, Assassin's Creed 1, he's a rebel. He goes against the Creed. He does whatever he wants. He's not this pure assassin that, like, I feel like we know him
by
as
the time he comes
eventually to be.
Yeah.
Ezio, it kind of falls into it and then eventually falls in line, but like still kind of does his own thing. But I think Connor is the one who really kind of like is against like everything a traditional brotherhood is, and he never. I mean, we don't really know what happens to Connor late in his life outside of the game, but like, I don't think he becomes a huge mentor.
No,
if I remember correctly. Like,
I have no idea,
they set Altair and Ezio to be like, the mentors of the Brotherhood, and they become huge figures within the Assassin's Brotherhood. But like, Connor doesn't really get that.
No, he doesn't. And I think that's just kind of a matter of the time period it's set in, and like
True,
how the Brotherhood is set up at that.
Yeah,
and even the difference between Ezio and Altair. Like Altair is very much alive in a time where it's an open and full Brotherhood, whereas like Ezio's Brotherhood seemed much more shadowy, and like you're meeting in back rooms. You don't have what's the name of their place? Like their big
bureaus.
Yeah, they're big bureaus, and even their main what was their main
Masyaf
and like stuff like that. You kind of see that in Mirage a little bit again, but it's a different time, and I feel like you see the assassins and Templars fluctuate power-wise throughout history, obviously, and strength-wise. But I don't know. I think overall I do have to give a caveat on this. Like, I like Assassin's Creed. I like this universe, so I think that definitely helps it a little bit.
I want to take a step back because I think we're
going everywhere. This is how it goes.
We're talking. We're good.
Yeah.
But like. You like the movie.
I do, yeah. I did like the movie.
Because I don't think you flat out said it.
Oh, no, I did, yeah.
I wanted to switch back to me and said, this second watch around, like, totally, I think, changed my view of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, where I was like, wow, like, this was really good. And I feel like this is very true to what Assassin's Creed is, with the present day being the focus. But, like, the back in time, the ancestor is also the focus, but it's more about the present day. And I feel like the director and the writers and Fassbender definitely understood that. And like, I don't know why I thought it was boring. Maybe
I still do think it's kind of boring. There's like, that's
could I
the
rewatch
thing.
this like 7,000 times? Are the action sequences cool? Yes. Is the story this captivating thing? No.
I think
but
the story is
pretty entertaining. I think
the story I think is where it falls the flattest for me, because
it's not
just
very deep.
It's just a retelling of one, but one already happened. So like that's why it kind of, for me as like that fan with the extra context, it feels weird that we're doing like the same thing over again with a different person to find the apple.
I feel like the worst part about this movie is none of it goes anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's the worst part about it because. I think like I remember when we got Origins, and very, very quickly on, like they reference Riken dying.
Yeah, no, like it's canon for sure.
It's canon. This movie is canon. I mean, I know I mentioned it when we were talking about Warcraft last time, but like this movie is canon within the Assassin's Creed universe, but we never see any of these characters again for the most part. Sophia and Alan are mentioned in newspapers and in like codex stuff within AC Origins, but I think this could have been a cool moment. It's like, what if you got Fassbender to do a game and we got to explore
I've said this
Cal
1,000
a little
times.
bit more and Aguilar.
I think
whether
he
it's
should have been the main
before
character
or after.
Yeah, I think he should have taken over as that main character in the present day. I think that's past this, even if this didn't do well, or as it didn't do well.
Right, because like we get into Origins and Odyssey, and they're clearly floundering. They don't know where to go. And now the present day, you're playing Shadows right now, and it's honestly pretty apt that we're doing this when right when Shadows kind of came out. But it's clear that like the present day just doesn't matter. Do you know who is in the
There's
Animus?
like no, you're like I think it's you again, like it was in Unity.
Oh
like
my god!
But again, Gooch, like we're
Kill me,
like
dude.
you are on.
It's not even Basm. Like
no, I don't know. But like we have to realize on that, like we're completely on the outs on that one.
dude, it just makes no sense.
I know, I hate it, but like
makes no fucking
sense. I
sense.
still remember to this day, everyone always saying when they were playing Assassin's Creed, it was like, well, fucking modern day shit. I thought that was the most interesting twist on it. I think just the saddest part of this for me is that they had all the right ideas. They had like the right direction. They were doing that the Fallout thing where they're like, we're doing a separate story in the universe that is very much canon, but it's very much the game. They just didn't take it far enough for me, and I think if they upped the action a little bit, if they took in the pacing a bit, I don't know. It just
really,
I think it would have
the
overall
action was really good.
No, the act. I should say I wish there was more of it. I think the action that was there was really fantastic. I thought the horse chase at the beginning was kind of meh, but that scene when they're escaping, they're parkouring and they're taking out all the guards when he flips off the pole. It's fantastic. It was really good.
Yeah.
And I thought that stuff was
shot
awesome.
on location. They're in Spain. They shoot in Spain.
Yeah.
I did find some behind the scenes where like they did shoot where it was supposed to be. Which
I think it's like 80% of this was filmed on physical locations.
Yeah, so
including
I would
stunts,
assume they probably shot all the Aguilar stuff first.
Yeah,
and
that
then
would make
did
sense.
all the Cal because that stuff's all a set.
And I guess
clearly.
that's what makes me sad about the smoke and haze. Because, like, I think the effect when, like, it's going in and out of the Animus while she's watching him in it is really cool. And it's like that, like, semi-holographic thing. I just hate it when we're in the past fully. And like you said, on that leap of faith shot, it's just he's diving in the smoke. Like, it's obscuring the entire city. I want to see that big open vista. It just makes it feel like it's not real, almost.
I feel like, I think as we've been talking about these movies, we're kind of talking about the references and usually like, where in Doom it's the BFG. But I think they could have inserted the eagle sounds for when the eagles show up. That's very iconic to the series, and the hidden blade noise.
I agree. You really don't hear that, do you?
Yeah, like I feel like it kind of took it out. Because like there are a lot of shots with you're behind an eagle. There's like 2 or 3 of them.
It starts. I like the opening when it comes in.
I was just looking for I'm sorry, that was horrible.
No, but I know what you mean.
Eagle screech. Yeah,
I know exactly what you're saying.
You get
That iconic screech. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even
Or
that
the
sync,
hidden blade.
like that.
Yeah.
There's
the hidden blade noise, but it's not like the clearly.
Yeah.
Video game sound effect for assassination.
You even the one part where he assassinated the guy looked a little silly when he was kind of because they were really trying to do the pose and it like froze on him as he was coming down. I was like, that's okay. Otherwise, though, the action was really great. I got to give it to him. And the costumes were awesome. I loved his assassin's outfit and his. I don't remember her name, but like his companion, she was great.
Yeah. One thing I thought weird. Let's talk about the Spanish Inquisition Brotherhood, whatever you want to call them. The talk about eagles is not in the series at all. So I'm curious why they included the eagle. There's a lot of eagle icons and things that are emblematic of eagles, but they never like flat out are like talking about eagles.
Right.
So, and there is a mention of like in the beginning where Aguilar is becoming an assassin, and there's like reference of eagles. I thought that was interesting because like again it just like doesn't really seem to be in their credo of like their mission statement. Like, they never talk about it. It just a nitpick.
Well,
also,
the symbol is a hawk's is an eagle skull, right? That's how it happens in Origins, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. They don't like go out of their way to mention the eagle in the game a lot, but it's very much an icon of Assassin's Creed. I feel like going around.
And then the other thing was, so this is in 1492. Ezio is alive.
Yeah, he dies in 1515, I think.
15, like early 1500s.
Yeah,
or early 15. Yeah,
and it's in like Japan. He's in Japan, I think. But sorry,
no, he's in Florence.
Is he in Florence? Oh,
yeah.
gotcha. Yeah.
Xiao Jun visits him, but he's in Florence.
I see.
He dies of like natural causes. He just dies like on a bench.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're probably thinking, why did they cut his finger off? Well, if you remember, Leonardo da Vinci just decided to rejigger the schematics to make it so he didn't have to cut his finger off. So I can buy that this, what's looked like a pretty sect off brotherhood, is not in conversation with other brotherhoods, and they just don't have that.
No,
yet.
for sure. It is the wrong hand too, but it's okay. It should be his left hand. They did his right hand.
That's horrible.
Because it's supposed to be your non-dominant hand, so that way your sword hand's good. At least that's what I read online on Assassin's Creed Wiki.
Fuck.
And they don't cauterize it, all right? It's just bleeding. Like, God, I felt like that opening scene, to be honest, was odd. It felt like there was like, we
don't know who this character is. So, usually we always get like a before and a lead up and then they become assassins.
Yeah.
Like, very rarely do, I think maybe with Syndicate and Jacob and Evie, where like, we meet them and they're already assassins. Like, we don't get the intro. With Unity, we get the before and Brotherhood, and Bayek we do.
We do, yeah.
What about
obviously.
Odyssey and Valhalla? They're not assassins, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they're yeah, exactly. I mean, they are, but not in name, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like that opening. It looked cool, but I was just like, okay, what's going on? And that opening like diatribe, I don't think it needed that. I felt like they've thoroughly explained.
I think that was fine.
I just think they thoroughly explained all that through context throughout the movie. I just felt like you didn't need, like, we would have gotten it by the end.
Yeah, I think like what they don't explain, and we'll talk about the Templar side of it, is like, I guess like how dominant the Templars are, but they do talk about like the Secret Order, and like there seems to be like some Illuminati type organization, which is what the Templars are.
Yeah.
What did you think about the juxtaposition between Sophia's ideology and Alan's? How Alan is obviously making a play for the apple, but Sophia seems to be kind of, maybe it is ignorance of her not fully understanding what the Templars are doing.
Yeah.
And her being like the kid lower on the totem pole, doesn't understand, but she seems to be like genuine about her science. And that's fucking with these people.
He even talks about it. He's like, you were a scientist first. That's why I never told you this. And I thought that was interesting. But I mean, they were assassins. You see her in the flashback. She's under an assassin's hood. Before she walks out, she's like, wait, stop. She's in like that weird memory thing.
Wait, what?
You see her in an assassin's hood. You see Marion Cotillard's character in an assassin's hood in his weird memory bubble thing with his mom and stuff. She's around him. And that's what confuses her.
You know what? I should have. I thought, I'm like, maybe I should like play that one back.
No, yeah, and I like that scene where you see all his ancestors. I kind of wish you saw him in like an Altair robe. I feel like there might have been one in the back, but yeah. So you see her there. So I think we've seen turncoats throughout the series. I mean, Edward's dad or his grandfather,
Haytham.
Yes. It turns into a Templar.
Haytham's dad. No,
Haytham is a Templar, and then
Edward is Haytham's
father.
Right.
Yeah, Haytham becomes a Templar, but Edward was Assassin's Creed 4. Obviously, he was the pirate.
Yeah,
assassin.
and then we get like Shay Cormac with Rogue from an assassin to a Templar.
Right. Yeah.
We've got.
So that's definitely happened. So I think that's interesting. Yeah, she seems very much more altruistic than him. I mean, they are very mustache twirly, villainous kind of organization. And that's how Templars are. I did like that moment in the beginning where they're like, she comes in and she's like, we're going to shut down your Abstergo projects because honestly, everyone's ready to give up their freedoms anyways. They don't care. And to be honest, that's a very fucking true statement. The amount of people who will give up their privacy and own, like, I don't know, self-independence just for the tiniest bit of security is very much a thing these days. So I thought that was an interesting moment.
Trying to see if she does anything after this movie, and she doesn't.
Who?
Sophia Riken.
Right,
would have been interesting to go like, oh, she's turncoat, and like,
and that's what I think they were setting up for sure. I mean, even she does, but also at the end, she's like mad that she let him kill her father, and she's like, I'll avenge my father. That whole scene felt odd.
I think it would have been interesting if, because of that slight, she ends up helping Cal and this ragtaggy brotherhood that kind of comes out of the Abstergo Foundation and helps them kill him.
Yep.
That would have made more sense.
Right. But, by the way, don't put all the assassins that you're training together in a facility to talk to each other.
Yeah, because I mean, it's funny because we have seen this. I mean, Desmond is Subject 17.
Yeah.
He is a part of an early Animus project where they were essentially taking people with assassin heritage and trying to find pieces of Eden with them. I mean, we know Clay Karasmeric is one, but there's other ones. So this is the Abstergo Foundation is like almost like, okay, we've perfected really advance the Animus tech, so we can do this on a grander scale. And seems to be what the Abstergo Foundation in Madrid is. It's that original Animus project on like a much grander scale. But like I think they're silly by like keeping them in there, and now
together.
they've all gone through the bleeding effect
and become
to various
assassins
degrees.
Yeah, that part again. There's just some narrative choices where I'm like, you didn't need to do that. Like you could have. I think almost if you're gonna do the Assassin's Creed 1 storyline, just do it. But I felt like they almost wanted to make it different enough to be like, no, this isn't Assassin's Creed 1 again.
What did you think about Cal's dad being Brendan Gleeson? And like 3 scenes.
I thought that whole storyline was very odd, and I just didn't understand.
Like I kind of understand like the mystery behind why his mom was killed and like what like that reasoning, but like
but maybe tell your kid. Like, what do you like? It just that's that moment where I'm just like, this isn't how this. And I know it's a movie, Gooch. I know, but like, this is not how you would interact with your son in real life. If you just like, it's like you'd be like, son, they're coming. Like you try to explain it the best you can in the moment, and then get him out of there. Also, I don't know why he's like they don't know I don't know. Just that whole scene felt very odd to me. I did not like it. And then that is another. I think that's his son who plays his younger self, Brendan Gleeson, one of the other Gleesons. So
Not
that
Dom
makes sense.
Hall.
Not Dom Hall, no. But yeah, Gooch, I will listen. I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to.
The cast is unusually stacked.
Yeah, so I mean,
Like,
I think Fassbender and
that
Ironside.
one dude,
yeah,
the
not
one
Ironside.
the black guy, he's a big actor who passed away kind of recently. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
recognize him, and I'm like, what is he doing in this like small role?
Yeah, and even his like, his interactions with him just kind of odd. There was just some weird character beats where I'm just like, I don't really kind of fully understand what you're doing here. And even he kind of references it at a moment. He's like, what the fuck is happening here? When he's like getting all his shit taken at the lunch table, Cal. Anywho, Gooch, I enjoyed it. I did. Do I think it's a fantastic movie? No. Do I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity?
Your phone's vibrating.
Oh, sorry. I think it's.
No, it was like
gotcha.
6 times.
No, I don't know who. That didn't even get anything. I think it's a good game. I think it's a good movie. I do see why it didn't do very well at the box office, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I think it's just a pacing issue, and I don't know.
I think it has broad appeal, but like it just didn't broadly appeal.
Apparently not. I don't know.
You know?
I don't know, man.
I do like it, and I think you could do a sequel to this, or like whether it's a game or a movie. I think you like. It's funny because we have. There's not a lot of we've gotten a lot of bigger video game movies like just within the last few years, and Assassin's Creed was probably like one of the starts of it. But remember after this, I feel like Ubisoft, there were so many projects, and there still are projects within the ether, like the Division, like that was Jake Gyllenhaal was attached to it. I'm pretty sure that's fallen apart.
There's supposedly an Assassin's Creed show on Netflix that they want to do or something like that too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like it almost seemed again like Blizzard had the same moment Ubisoft did when they were like, okay, like this movie is going to project us.
Right.
Even Sony with Ratchet and Clank, like they made Sony Productions to make that Ratchet and Clank movie, and it just kind of went nowhere.
Are they then? But they're involved in like The Last of Us, right? The Sony production stuff.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
like it's not a Sony Productions thing.
Right.
It's a Max.
It's an out of house, right? Yeah.
Production.
That's interesting. Yeah, this I think is a very good early example of like. This is possible. Like you guys just have to follow the story a little bit, but just a few fine tweaks would have really made it better.
I think it's clear like Blizzard and Ubisoft just kind of needed to commit to what they were doing, because they clearly kind of like it came out and maybe it didn't do what they wanted to do, and they just kind of like flew away.
Right, but that's just how movies work. Unfortunately, like it didn't make the money back, and they're like, is there an audience for this? Especially with a domestic box office of like 50 million.
Yeah, I mean, especially from Ubisoft, I just expected more of like a tie-in.
For sure. You would have thought there would have been some
to the
type
games
of,
or to do a sequel.
And I think they do reference it a good bit in Origins. I think especially within like the Kodak stuff and things like that.
Yeah, I remember.
But after that, not much. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else, Gooch, on the review side?
No, man.
I think this is a solid mid-tier movie.
I thought you were reading my mind, because I think we missed on rating a few. Yeah, I would say mid-tier movie to maybe high tier, probably mid tier.
I think I'm low to mid, but I'm on mid.
Yeah, like
mid
I would
sure.
think like, to go back, I'm like, I know we did it for Street Fighter, like Tomb Raider, fucking low tier film, dude. Come on.
I would agree.
Or high tier film.
Yeah.
Or high tier movie.
Yeah.
Doom. would be a mid-tier flick.
That's a low tier flick for me.
Okay.
I think, but I had fun with it.
And then Warcraft, I would say mid-tier movie.
Low tier movie. Low tier movie. I don't. I can't. I gotta just put it in my pocket.
Just put it on the stand.
No, I'll just put it in my pocket because it's gonna still vibrate there. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Gooch.
Fun facts.
Let's hop into the fun facts here. So the protagonist's name Aguilar is apparently a Latin derivative for a word that stands for eagle.
No shit. Thanks.
Yeah, that
That's
makes sense.
everyone in the series.
Is that so? What is Altair? Is that the same? I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all eagle. Connor obviously is not, but Radun Dagoon, is that how you say?
Yeah, Radun Dagoon. Yeah.
His Native American name.
Is
I think
that means eagle?
Eagle.
Oh wow. Okay. I feel stupid for not knowing that.
What's Unity's protagonist? Arno Victor
Arno.
Dorian. I think Arno is eagle. Or Dorian, one or the other.
Yeah.
I think it kind of loses its luster, but I know the first few are.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so no surprise.
So Fassbender was pretty invested in this project. As one of the producers, he lobbied to have Justin Kurzel direct the movie following their work on Macbeth. Fassbender also chose Marion Cotillard to be his co-star again, who he was actually dating at the time. And he also actively participated in the film's post-production, including editing.
It's really interesting because I listened to a interview with both of them,
Right.
Marion and Fassbender. They both not fans of the game, not
Yeah.
gamers. So I'm curious I guess Fassbender, it seemed he was really moved by the story and the universe.
and
Like
there
that's
was-
what got him in. And I guess he's akin to being in the X-Men films. Like he's already in that like nerddom sphere.
Well-
because they were talking to him about like what feedback have you got from fans? I was like, well, he's Magneto, so he's already been dealing with that in a way. So
Yeah, and I think he also, I saw this online as well. He saw this as something he could get into like on the ground level as like a producer and like as a really main part of a franchise that could be a big one. So I think that was kind of intriguing to him as well. But I'm sure the story itself was also kind of intriguing to him. He talked about the sci-fi and fantasy elements for sure. So this film features the highest free fall performed by a stuntman in almost 35 years. The stuntman, Damian Walters, performed a free fall from the height of 125 feet or 38 meters for our folks across the pond, which lasted about 3 seconds with a 61 mile an hour impact speed. So
I watched the
Yeah.
footage of it. It's
pretty wild.
There's some behind the scenes footage. Yeah.
yeah.
No one's broken that since?
I didn't look it up.
Okay.
There might have. I probably not on a movie. I don't see why you would have.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless Tom Cruise,
Yeah, just wanted to. I mean, he definitely climbed something that big freely. I don't know. So the assassins' costumes took 2 to 3 months to make, and were all handcrafted. There are 8 versions of each costumes for stunt performers and the like, with an entire costume team devoted to each of the assassins. Aguilar's costume alone is made of 6,000 beads manually sewn together. Kill me.
Nice.
That would be insane. So as I mentioned earlier, director Justin Kurzel did not want to fall into the binary with this film, showing the assassins as heroes and the Templars as villains. He felt both ideologies can't clearly be called wrong or right, as both can be corrupted. They go to extremes: anarchy for the assassins and control for the
Nothing
Templars.
is true. Everything is permitted. It's the Assassin's Code. It's like exactly. That's pretty apt.
Yeah, no, I thought that
would
was
agree.
very astute for sure. So there was a 2017 interview with Michael Fassbender when he was critical of the film, calling it a missed opportunity. He continued on to say, "For sure, it wasn't ideal. I think we missed an opportunity there a little bit. So we'll wait to see what Ubisoft is coming up with. But for now, I don't know." When asked if he would have done what he would have done differently, the actor said, "I would make it a bit more entertaining." Thanks, Michael. That
Yeah, I was like, this is really vague and a nothing sandwich.
That's
I'll
really
let you keep going.
that's really the main note. The feeling of the film, I think it took itself too seriously, and I would get into the action a lot quicker. I think there's 3 beginnings to the film, which is a mistake. So, and I kind of agree with that one for sure.
Yeah, I
'Cause
guess
you
it does have a few jumping off points.
Mm-hmm.
I would tend to agree with him, but like, I don't think the acting is actually any of the problem.
No, and I don't think he's saying that either. Yeah.
Or the writing. It's kind of weird to kind of try to figure out what the problem is with this movie.
I do think it's the pacing. I think it's just and it's just something I see everywhere. It's just people found it very boring. I watched Mr. Sunday Movies. They did a Caravan of Garbage on it, and they were not fans at all. which I think is interesting.
But again, neither were we when we first saw it.
No, exactly. And this is the second or third. I guess they've seen it before, but like, yeah, I don't know if it's like it sucks if it's like a multiple
Caravan of
viewing.
Garbage wasn't the first viewing.
I don't think so. But I don't know. It seems like it just did not hit for the general audiences, which is sad. Because yeah, I think it's a good film for sure. Just a bit of a missed opportunity. And I already mentioned this, but the Animus 2.0 can be seen in the background in the film when you are seeing the Animus for the first time. And that does it here, Gooch. Anything else?
No, man, no.
This wraps it, right? The video game.
This is
right?
it. I did wanted to mention because we're on the cusp of what is looking like to be the most successful video game movie of all time, which is Minecraft.
Yeah. I mean, it absolutely is. I think we can categorically say that now.
And I feel like talking about the Minecraft movie in terms of what's been going on with it, with the chicken jockey thing and like kids going to theaters and like destroying the theaters because of like this meme. It's kind of an interesting conversation because I feel like it kind of jumps off of like the Marvel thing, but like almost 17 times worse.
Well, and even I don't think anything with the Marvel movies, especially with Infinity War, it was a momentary, like everyone was like, yeah, not throwing shit everywhere, and then the theater immediately calmed down. This is like sustained chaos throughout the entire
they're
film.
going the movie to like meme on it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
weird.
It's turned into this meme thing, this meme culture for these kids. So they just want to participate, and they'll go buy a ticket to see it. And,
you know what's funny? But I would like to go see that movie. But like after all this, like I don't think I would want to subject myself to dealing with any.
I think we've missed the big shit now. I think now it's kind of calmed down. I think if we went to the theater, but yeah, that I don't know because I listened to Mr. Sunday Movies again. They were talking about their reviews, and one of them were like, it was insane chaos, and I could barely watch the movie because of that. And Mr. Sunday Movies himself was like, it was actually fine for me, like no real insane people. So, and it sucks because, dude, I was mentioning this in the chat. It's very sidebar. This is some people's first experience back to the movies in a while, like with how much money this has done, and like that's a
when
shitty way to
stop
go
saying
back.
that?
What?
I feel like you've said that a few times, not to
What are you
press
talking
you
about?
on it. Like people's first going back to the theaters. Like,
This is literally the first time I think I've ever brought it up in the podcast.
I feel like you said
I mentioned
you
it.
said
I think
it before, like with like Oppenheimer or like Barbie or something like that.
maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
Go pull up the
I
clips.
just
But
feel
like,
like within all of our, it's not like stop saying
Gooch
that.
loves to call out. Gooch, you know what you do all the time, pal? Goddamn, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Like I'm just like, oh, this is like people's like first time going back to theaters, like
in a major way.
From
Yeah.
COVID, I'm just like, when are we done with that?
Well, but no, I'm saying in the way of like ticket sales. Like no movie's done what this has done.
It's the
like
biggest
families
opening of the
coming
year.
back,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like this is their first major experience back to the movies since even Oppenheimer. It's like, yeah, why am I fucking coming back to the movies if this is what I'm dealing with? It's insane, and I feel bad for those people, and I understand why they're not going to want to go see a movie again because of that.
Yeah.
Anyways, after being called out so heinously,
I just think it was funny because it's like, oh yeah, we were doing this. Well, one, this lines up with Doom: The Dark Ages with
Right.
Doom, Assassin's Creed with Assassin's Creed Shadows, and then the theme in general with now Minecraft being one of the best openings for a video game movie, and probably will be the highest grossing for sure. I mean, maybe I don't know if this movie has the Chinese international box office appeal. But
I don't know.
Who
I mean,
knows?
it might not need it with how much money it's doing. But Gooch, I think that does it for us.
It does wrap us up, and we do actually have our next Rewind review. Not going, but we know what it is.
Yeah,
We're not
which I'm excited for.
Are we gonna reveal it? Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it now. All
You
right. Yeah, because why not? I mean, who wants to hold the? There's no point in holding it close to the vest. When are we going to release it? I guess we should discuss
I have no
that, too.
idea. We haven't even started.
That would probably be like a month before. So we're doing Superman. We're doing Donner Superman, Superman Returns, and Man of Steel. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to go back and especially watch Donner Superman because I don't think I've ever seen that all the way through. I'm sure it's going to be an interesting trip.
No idea if I've seen that all the way through.
I remember really not loving Superman Returns.
Superman Returns is going to be interesting because
Yeah.
that is such a movie that is so critically panned on all ends, and then Man of Steel will just be interesting from a perspective of like we're just watching Man of Steel, and like I'm a big Zack Snyder fan. We've diagnosed a lot of Zack Snyder stuff.
I would
So
even
it's
call
gonna-
myself a fan.
It's gonna, yeah. I didn't want to put words in Trey's
No,
mouth.
I would
But it's gonna
agree.
be,
Yeah.
it's gonna be cool to return to Man of Steel and like the first of that universe. But like it's done.
And I own that too, actually, already. I have it on Blu-ray.
I
so.
think I borrowed it from somebody to watch it, so I don't have
Yeah,
it.
I
You know
can't-
what? I think I've talked about this, but we're probably going to do a Tron rewind review for
absolutely.
Ares.
Yeah.
I will buy the 4K for that.
Tron. Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
I have to
for sure.
I have it on Blu-ray, but I don't know if it's the 4K.
I meant to buy a set. I keep forgetting. Like I'm getting to the weekend when we're doing it. I'm like, oh shit, I meant to buy the movie, and it's gonna be too late to come in. Assassin's Creed was only like $10
like
for
what
4K.
you should do is
when we do it,
when you get home, buy them all.
Right, you're right.
You know what we're
Yeah.
watching.
Because
But it should be fun.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I'm looking forward to what we do with this. Yeah, because I'm not well versed in like those older Superman movies.
I mean, especially the Donner one for sure. I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, well, that does it for Trio, and thanks for watching Delco Nerd Network, which usually streams live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network or youtube.com/Delco Nerd Network. You can find us everywhere with an @ at Delco Nerds, facebook.com/Delco Nerd Network, yada, yada, yada. And most importantly, if you want to join our community, you can do so by joining our Discord, which is linked within every podcast description. It's on our social media. It's around. If you're looking through our information, you should easily be able to find it. And you can find all this information at www.delconerdnetwork.com. You can also send us an email, delconerds@gmail.com. Send us, thoughts, comments, things for the concern of the good of the group. We'll address it as it comes.
Absolutely.
But for Trio, my name is Anthony Ragucci. Thanks for watching. Stay nerdy, and we'll see you next time.